Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mount Vernon City School District School Board meeting, our work session. Today is October the 14th, 2025. Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. We have Trustee Wanda White joining us virtually. May we have the roll call, please?
All right, just give me 1 minute. But I'm putting No, it popped out. It went in and then popped out. Let's do it again. I don't have another key. Technology for you.
Wait, aren't you good with tech also? Don't you specialize in tech? Me? Yeah, because so. Behavior tech. Oh my goodness. But you did tell me about your website. Still. Did you get to read it? I didn't get to write it.
1, 2, 3.
Cell phone number? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Just share your number with me.
Mike, there's no audio on your phone. Wait, you have. I'll send you. Audio.
Okay.
It flickered, but no, there's no audio. I get no audio over here. That's not it. Look.
Okay, thank you for this.
What we could do, everyone say it, record it, take it from you, and then turn around and because that's not it.
What's just going on? Robert. Flip side.
There's a shortage somewhere. Live stream won't have audio. Yeah, it clicked in and it clicked out. Just give me 1 minute and then okay.
The website? Okay, so you.
That key won't work, but
Okay, thank you for the information. I'll definitely.
we back. So give me. We are back. Okay. President.
We pardon the interruption. We did lose some audio, so we had some technical difficulties. We are back online, so thank you very much. We have begun our meeting, and we have already done the pledge. We have Trustee White, who will be joining us virtually, so may we have roll call?
Trustee Brown. Present. Trustee Kelly. Trustee McDonough.
Present.
Trustee Middleton. Trustee Peterson.
Present.
Trustee Scott.
Present.
Trustee White. Is she here? Trustee White, who was on Zoom.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Okay. Well, VP Mitchell
Present.
and President Maribel.
Present.
Okay, we have our quorum.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda, 2.1, may I have a motion to suspend the work session rules for this work session? First and second, are there any questions? May we have the vote?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
In honor of School Board Recognition Week, we are proud to showcase the dedicated and passionate trustees who help make informed decisions to provide the best for Mount Vernon scholars. Thank you for all that you do to help steward the success of our bright learners. In honor of School Board Recognition Month, I just wanted to say thank you for your dynamic support this year. We have been doing some great things, and my wish is that it continues. I have a little token of some appreciation, and it's a little nice letter, and you probably can get you a or not, with some donut holes, because, yeah, that one, I forgot, that's the Buffalo talking, Timbits. But I did want to say thank you to you all. So when you get the chance, just take an opportunity to read. But can the audience give our board a round of applause, please?
Thank you, Dr. Strickland.
Are our gift cards more? Are ours higher because we're board leadership? No.
As Dr. Strickland is handing out his tokens of appreciation, I would like for everyone to notice that our board is wearing our trustee shirts. We have taken some photos, and our cabinet members are wearing them as well. So I just wanted to let you know we do have some new merch on representing the district. Since we have suspended the work session rules for this work session, we will be honoring public comments tonight. So we will just make a general announcement asking for anyone that would like to speak, that they will be given an opportunity to speak at this session because we are suspending the rules. Thank you. We will now have a jewel box presentation.
Beautiful. Got here late. I'm about to rip them up. Every week, we open Mount Vernon's Jewel Box to see the wonderful work happening across our district and community. Take a look at this past week's Jewel Box, which you can also view on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Proper nutrition is essential for every child's success. The Mount Vernon City School District is committed to the health and well-being of our students. We take pride in providing free, high-quality, healthy meal options that students will enjoy.
Thank you for that presentation. We will move on to our presentation 3.1, Food and Nutrition in the Mount Vernon City School District by Donna Jackson.
Well, happy National School Lunch Week. Woohoo! Districts across New York State are celebrating the importance of a healthy and nutritious school lunch along with all the rest of the other school meals. So welcome to this first of many presentations from Food and Nutrition. This is Food and Nutrition in the Mount Vernon City School District, from roots to radiance for every gem. And now I gotta, let's see.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Thank you. Do the board members have a copy of my presentation in front of them? Can you follow along? Okay, because I'm not going to read all of the slides. I have notes. So good evening, Superintendent Strickland, President Marable, Vice President Mitchell, trustees, students, and families. My name is Donna Jackson, School Food Service Manager for the Mount Vernon City School District. This will be the first of several presentations for the board and the community. Tonight's presentation will focus on the importance of eating school meals. We will review some school meal basics and discuss upcoming grant opportunities. I was advised against taking a full 3 hours to discuss every single aspect of food services. I was a little offended. And the wellness policy, so it'll only be 2.5 hours. Just kidding. So this will be a broad overview. Future presentations will be more of a deep dive into the science of nutrition, wellness, and physical activity in our Mount Vernon City School District policies. Next slide. So this was my generation. Can you relate? I know I just aged myself with these photos. I was looking for the strawberry shortcake, lunchbox, but shout out to the 70s. A little bit of history. You'll see over time that there's been a repeat behavior: community support, government support, a decrease in funding, and back to community support. School lunch programs track their origins back 100 years to scratch-made meals in the community, cooked and served by volunteers. It has historically had a female workforce. School lunch evolved in the 1920s to school-based 3-cent meals of soup, bread, and milk, or whatever was locally available, like coffee and pickles, according to one nutrition website, which was probably not the most nutrient-dense or healthy meal. So schools began to get a little more involved in school meals, but then the Great Depression hit, and most schools could not afford to provide lunches. Around this time, the federal government authorized the Department of Agriculture to buy excess food from farmers for school lunch programs. So you begin to see more beef and pork and butter and other items on school menus in the 1930s, and still mostly scratch cooked. By the 1940s, every US state had a federally sponsored lunch program, but funding for them decreased due to World War II, and many kids and their families were left without food. Community soup kitchens and community victory gardens became a staple for survival. Federal policy and commercial industry began to shape food systems in 1946 when the National School Lunch Act became federal law under President Harry Truman, providing free and low-cost lunches. But not everyone could pay for those meals, and demographically, not everyone had access to those meals. Around this time, in the 1950s and 60s, we begin to see school lunch access and quality improvement social movements by women like Emma Smedley in Philadelphia and the Black Panthers in Oakland, California. There is a rarely amplified hero of school lunch, a woman named Jean Fairfax, who played a very critical role in 1966 because she, as a member of the NAACP, coordinated 5 national women's organizations, Church Women United, the YWCA, and the National Council of Catholic Women, the National Council of Jewish Women, and the National Council of Negro Women, to push for greater access to school meals for all children. Ms. Fairfax stated, "Our individual consciences are pricked at the knowledge that one child is hungry. We are aroused to collective action when we discover that a program designed for the nurture of children is failing to reach those who need it most." Jean Fairfax and the women's organizations testified before Congress, and they were instrumental in making national school lunch programs more inclusive. The 1970s to early 2000s is when we begin to see fast foods and processed foods find their way into cafeterias. Burgers, fried foods, who remembers those gooey apple pies and butter crunch cookies? By the 1980s, it's chicken nuggets, cheeseburgers, rectangle pizza, and chocolate pudding as a staple. Sugar addiction and obesity rates begin to rise. 2010 saw an overhaul of school lunch programs with an emphasis on fresh fruits and vegetables and a focus on physical fitness through former First Lady Michelle Obama. Present-day school food movements continue to advocate for better, culturally relevant meals and equitable meal access. There is a push to incorporate more scratch cooking and unprocessed foods. And I just want to send a shout out to every single person on Facebook and here in the district who sent me that recent CBS Evening News segment on Brigade and the scratch cooking movement taking place in New London, Connecticut. I must have received it 20 times, if not more, and that's okay. Because that tells me something. It tells me that Mount Vernon wants better for its babies. And I hear you loud and clear. There are some challenges around aging kitchen equipment, and many school kitchens in Mount Vernon and across America have been reduced to heat and serve production spaces for plastic-wrapped commercially branded foods. I look forward to working with Sodexo, the Wellness Committee, students and parents to form an action plan to change that. School Meals for All is a current grassroots social and state policy movement to ensure that all children, regardless of finances or zip code, have access to nutritious food. In New York, all school-age children can eat for free, thank you, Governor Hochul, under the Universal School Meals Program, providing almost 3 million New York students with free breakfast and free lunch. The goal is to save families money, reduce the stigma associated with receiving free meals, and improve student nutrition and well-being. I encourage anyone who is interested in school lunch and the history of care for the beloved community to dig down and read Dr. Jennifer Gaddis's book called The Labor of Lunch. And if you email me, I will be glad to share any of the links associated with my research for this presentation. My email address is djackson, no period in between, at mtvernoncsd.org. Next slide. So why do school meals matter? You see this photo of our smiling scholar athletes at Mount Vernon High School. We have great hopes for them to soar academically and to bring home championship trophies. But poor nutrition can lead to negative outcomes that will derail those goals. For example, growth stunting, linear growth failure. We want smart, tall, healthy scholar athletes and dancers and football players and swimmers, but there are certain essential nutrients like amino acids, building blocks of proteins that our bodies cannot produce. We have to ingest and digest them to grow properly and to have our brain, our skin, our bones, and our immune system develop appropriately. It is critically important that our school meals are nutritious and accessible. To give a little deeper context and pulling from a variety of New York State and Medical Health Center reports, here's some data. Some of it you know, and some of it you might not. We are one of the most ethnically diverse communities in Westchester, with populations from Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Haiti, Guyana, Mexico, and Italy, Trinidad and Tobago, the UK, and Portugal. That information is important as I work with Sodexo to ensure that Amanda Plummer, who is the general manager there, and her team can present culturally relevant meals that our students will consume. The city also has high percentages of residents living below the poverty level. That's 1 in 7 residents, or approximately 14% of our community. Mount Vernon is also considered a primary care medically underserved area pursuant to a New York State Department of Health report from 2021. This is based on an index value that includes infant mortality, poverty, the percentage of elderly and primary care physician, and the primary care physician to population ratio. So in Mount Vernon, if something goes wrong, you may face challenges getting care. I know that the Mount Vernon Neighborhood Health Center, now the Westchester Health Center, and the Montefiore Mount Vernon Hospital are working extremely hard to change that narrative. There are high incidences of premature death in Mount Vernon before the age of 65, high rates of asthma-related ER visits, especially for youth 0 to 4 years old. Almost 13% of adults in Mount Vernon are managing diabetes, and those are the ones we know who have reported it to a healthcare provider. Male colorectal, prostate, and lung cancers are also prevalent. A priority intervention against these statistics is evidence-based nutrition care and physical activity beginning at birth. The top 3 personal health priorities given in a Westchester County survey were food and nutrition, physical activity, and environments that promote well-being and active lifestyles. That kind of sounds like a school building. People are looking to heal and improve and to become well. Next slide. Go back one. Go to the next one. Stop. All right, it's a little hard to see this circle, but inside the circle, it just describes all of the different. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Inside of the circle, it just describes all of the different programs associated with child nutrition. The National School Lunch Program, the School Breakfast Program, the After-School Snack Program, but there are a couple, and Summer Food Services, which are 4 of the programs that Mount Vernon actually participates in. We are exploring opportunities to bring a dinner program. And there's also a unique program, an educational one, that's kind of fun. That's called the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, and it allows you to partner with local purveyors and bring in samples of fruits and vegetables that the students might not necessarily get a chance to try. And, and it's in between breakfast and lunch, can't be served at the end of the day. There's all kinds of rules, but we're looking to try and launch that one as well. So the last few data points, I shared a couple of concerning statistics. The rest of the slides show a positive way forward. We know that nutrition programs can have lifelong beneficial impact on our students and the school community. We can create great health gains across the board if good nutrition is integrated with other wellness activities, mental health and physical health activities, and evaluated for impact. We must be active, vigilant, collaborative, consistent, and creative. So how these school food programs work. The government is mandated to publish new dietary guidelines every 5 years. Those current guidelines are set to expire at the end of 2025. The new guidelines for 25 to 2030 will dictate federal, state, and local nutrition programs and policies. Registered dietitians, medical professionals, and nutritionists will rely on these to create menus and health guidance. Those dietary guideline recommendations are then pushed out to the state governments. The New York State Department of Education's Child Nutrition Division is the body that monitors school districts' compliance across the state with these federal rules and regulations. They conduct audits every 3 to 4 years. However, they can choose to drop in at any given time to any school district to review a program. Therefore, it is imperative that Mount Vernon is always audit ready, which is the mantra that guides my daily leadership. School nutrition programs are operated by school districts. Some districts are what's called self-operating, and others, like Mount Vernon, have received bids and partnered with a food service management company like Sodexo to take on the task of planning menus that meet state and federal guidelines, hiring staff, and producing the meals. Okay. So each one of these meals, breakfast, lunch, snack, after school, whatever, summer, they are highly regulated. Each of us has a role to play to ensure the success of those programs. The Food Service Management Company has an obligation to abide by federal and state rules of nutrition. The district has an obligation to keep the facilities and equipment operational. and to administer the nutrition program and support and improve the evaluate the district's wellness policies. Principals set the tone for wellness in their building, encourage students to eat the meals, and ensure children have appropriate time to eat during the day and time for recess. Teachers can help reinforce healthy eating by integrating nutrition topics into lesson plans and modeling healthy habits themselves. Parents can assist by supporting healthy eating at home and encouraging their children to eat the free, nutritious meals provided at school, which frees up household dollars, and by supporting the program through constructive feedback and engagement with the Food Service and Wellness Committee. Students have a voice and a choice. Eat the entire school breakfast and school lunch meal that is offered. I know sometimes that's a little easier said than done when you have to walk a mile or more to school in the morning and you pass all the bodegas and all the fast food places along the way. Save your money, eat at school. Give us feedback. Give me your positive feedback, your room for improvement feedback, and constructive suggestions. Do you have a favorite recipe at home? I can almost guarantee that there is a child nutrition version of it, and if not, Sodexo has chefs and the resources to create it. Students, PTAs, and the greater community can get involved in serving on and supporting the board's wellness committee. Ooh. Okay. So the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act did a couple of things, but one of the results of that act was the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP. It's a national school lunch program and school breakfast program meal service option that allows schools and school districts in high poverty areas to offer meals at no cost to all enrolled students without collecting household applications, which was a major administrative burden. Rather than collecting the school meal applications to make individual students' eligibility determinations, schools that adopt CEP are reimbursed using a formula, mathematical. It's the number of identified students times 100 divided by the number of enrolled students. Mount Vernon is at a 67.6% identified student percentage. That's pretty high. I'm going to talk a little bit about competitive foods in schools, a very touchy subject. I know I have a couple of former principals in the room. There is specific language about foods that are sold during the school day, and like a school fundraiser for cupcakes and stuff like that, but it also extends to foods in vending machines, which should be smart snacks with reduced salt and sugars, and alternate foods not prepared by the Food Service Management Company but are made available to students during the day. They should not be. The Food Service Management Company, Sodexo, goes to great lengths to ensure meals are prepared in sanitary conditions, held and served at appropriate temperatures, and they follow strict guidelines on what meal ingredients are. The administrative paperwork behind this with production records and formulation statements is tremendous. That said, no district wants to be on News 12 for food poisoning or an allergic reaction with competitive foods that are served outside of the planned meals. No administrator wants to lose their professional license for allowing it. So what does that mean for birthday parties? Let's get creative with non-food items to share with classmates. Eventually, down the road, Sodexo and I will put together some birthday kits that parents can purchase that have smart snacks for classroom parties. Please be patient with me. We will get there. School administrators, if you are having a cultural celebration, give me advance notice. At minimum 2 to 3 weeks so I can work with Sodexo on menuing. I know I have opened Pandora's box with this, and I'm glad to round table at a later point. So, meal pattern requirements. I'm just going to go over this really briefly. There are 5 food groups. Think of them as large buckets. Milk, meat alternates, grains, vegetables, fruits. Then there are food items that fit in those buckets. So for your fruit, it could be an apple or a banana or an orange. For your grain, it could be toast or a muffin. Milk, it could be your yogurt. It could be not your yogurt. It could be milk. It's going to be 1% low fat, sometimes flavored, but there is a movement afoot to take flavored milks out of schools because they do have additional sugar. So, building a power-fueled breakfast. There are usually 4 options that are available for students to take at breakfast. They can take at least 3. One of them must be a fruit or a vegetable. They can take all 4. We encourage that. At the high school level, sometimes we have a little more of a complex breakfast offering, so there might be a fruit or a vegetable that's offered. One of those must be taken. At minimum 3 items, maximum 4 for the breakfast. Weekly requirements are based on a 5-day school week. They must meet dietary specifications for calories, saturated fat, sodium. Each school must produce enough food to provide all students with a reimbursable meal. That last sentence, each school site must produce enough food to provide all students with a reimbursable meal, is important, and I'm going to pause here. Every student in the Mount Vernon City School District can eat nutritionally sound, lovingly prepared, breakfast and lunch for free, every day for free. There are multiple food items that your child can select to eat, including fresh fruits and vegetables. If the students do not eat the meals, our nutrition program does not receive the reimbursement. Without the reimbursement, we cannot improve the program offerings and replace equipment. If the students do not eat the meals and we prepare enough for every student, it is a waste of costly resources and labor hours. I'm sending a high five and a shout out to all of the Sodexo staff in our kitchens. These are your friends, your neighbors. They are up at dark 30 in the morning coming into these kitchens. They pray over my refrigerators and freezers every day. They receive the deliveries, they ensure nothing is damaged, they lovingly prepare each meal. They deliver them safely with our drivers, and they really do care about these children. So I'm just taking a moment to say thank you to my Sodexo team. So, next steps. I'm trying to stay within my allotted 2.5 hours. I officially began my position as food service manager on September 8th, 2025. My counterpart on the Sodexo side, Amanda Plummer, began her position as general manager just a few days prior. I hope you can understand the challenges with being in a new school district after the school year has begun, but we strive and we do. All schools are staffed, and Sodexo is onboarding the few remaining vacant positions. Standard operating procedures are being fine-tuned. A principal's guide to food service will be released in the coming days. There have been significant challenges with aging equipment. Freezers and refrigerators are failing. I am monitoring repair calls. Thank you to Ms. Erlene, to Ms. Sharice Bailey, to Mike Ragusa, Matt Demora, and Al for always answering my calls, my frantic calls. If we are placing calls for service on the same piece of equipment, then it's time to replace and upgrade it. I'm examining digital monitoring systems for the refrigeration equipment and an equipment inventory software so that we can track the location of all food service assets. Enrollment is slightly down. Sodexo created its bid based on an enrollment of over 7,000. Current enrollment is just slightly over 6,700. A percentage of those students attend school every day, and a percentage of those students partake in school meals. The reduced participation percentage will have an impact on the revenue generated for the food service program. Please encourage all students to eat the free meals. Opportunities and partnerships. So I'm a self-labeled research nerd. I understand that school lunch is far more complex than just fresh salad and livable wages for employees. It is also policy and law. I'm a voracious reader and a follower of some exceptional podcasts and websites, which I'm happy to share. I'm grateful to Mayor Sean Patterson Howard, who had me as her guest for the Food Research and Action Center Benefit Breakfast in Washington, D.C. on October 8th. That event allowed me to connect with government affairs and community impact leaders for food companies and farm-to-table advocates. The panelists discussed the impacts of SNAP and Medicaid cuts to families, which is a majority of our families in Mount Vernon. And they discussed the work being done to ensure communities can sustain themselves under the compounding local pressures on food, housing, health, public safety, and infrastructure. Persistent demand on food pantries and rising costs are affecting broader populations. In DC, I learned about a grant opportunity for farm to table and wellness that I will apply for. That deadline is October 30th. My goal for those funds is to support the public activities, mission, and vision of the Wellness Committee with a focus on farm to table. Wellness Committee Student Feedback Survey. Speaking of the Wellness Committee, encoded in District Policy 5660 and 5661, I have submitted a 6-month activity plan to Trustee Brown and Vice President Mitchell. We will get dates on the calendar and put out a call for student and community participants. Anyone under the sound of my voice, again, if you are interested in participating, please email me directly, djackson@mtvernoncsd.org. We will release an evergreen student feedback survey to evaluate the meals and programs of the Food Service Department. Please look for that on the Food Service Department web page in the coming days. There is also a USDA Farm to School grant with a deadline of December 5th. A narrative has been created, and we're going to solicit community partners to support farm to school projects that increase local foods in school meals and connect children with agriculture and the environment. They are encouraging applicants to propose large-scale and ambitious projects, and we will do that. Mount Vernon has a success rate with implementing the farm-to-community projects with the success of the Grow Bag project at Mount Vernon High School that my sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha brought to the district a few years back. We set the bar high for environmental and gardening education, student engagement, and community engagement that inspired backyard farming and gardening across Mount Vernon and beyond its borders. Considering the looming impacts to SNAP and WIC, we want to dream big with this grant proposal. The current budget is $400,000 with $133,000 match funds, and that can be in the form of community currency and volunteering, and we're still working on that. If you're interested, I'm glad to share. I think I've held everyone captive for long enough. My next presentation will discuss the Wellness Committee launch, the status of the 2 grants I discussed, and a deeper fiscal look at our food services program. Also, we are examining a financial platform called My School Bucks for students and staff who want to eat second meals and for staff who would like to eat a school lunch meal. Again, if students and the public have questions or would like more information on upcoming projects, please email me, djackson@mtvernoncsd.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Do we have any questions from our board members? I'll start on my right. Trustee Scott?
Nothing hard now. Go ahead.
Nothing hard.
I'm just playing.
No, I definitely appreciate your presentation in terms of the information that you shared. One of the things that really, I guess, catches my eye based on my other profession is the SNAP
The impacts.
right? Because that's something that currently I'm working on myself in regards to that. So my thing is 2 things. One, the communication about that, about the SNAP cuts, and how you're getting that message out to the families, especially noting that you said that there's a lot of families in the district that rely on SNAP. Mm-hmm. How are you getting the message out to them to start preparing now for what could possibly happen, right? And then second, I definitely love the fact that you're going and getting additional funding to, I guess, to assist with that and doing things of that nature. But what's probably going to happen when this SNAP situation comes to our front door is that a lot of parents are going to rely more heavily on your program,
I hope so.
right? And how are you preparing for that when you get the waves of those that don't usually do it, because now they can't go to the bodegas and the stores because they don't have the money to do so. So now they're going to come to your front door and want that food. So how are you preparing for that?
Okay. So I'm going to give you my socially acceptable answer for that, because I too am very, very worried about cuts to the school lunch program. That's also a reality. I'm grateful to have working relationships with City Hall, but we shouldn't rely just on City Hall. I'm grateful to be forming relationships with Feeding Westchester, but we shouldn't just rely on Feeding Westchester. Mount Vernon will have to start to create a network and it comes back to community, which is one of the things that I pointed out. It starts with community, and it always comes back to community. What can we do a little bit? I went to a meeting. I'm not going to get off track, I promise, Doc. I went to a meeting the other day, and I had a friend of mine that brought vegetables from her garden that she was going to give to a neighbor. It's going to get back to that. It's going to get back to sharing, helping, checking in. It might be a great thing for our community, but these cuts are going to be horrendous. There are major, major, major organizations like the Food and Research Center that is their daily grind, is to push back. They have the policy advocates that are on Capitol Hill having those conversations. How can we share that? If the district will allow, I'll gladly add, FRAC research links to the food service page. We have to tread carefully so that it doesn't become political one way or the other. But sharing research and sharing those data points, absolutely, absolutely.
One piece of advice I would love to give is, I know that the Department of Social Services is preparing a lot of information and possibly services, right? I would definitely advise that you connect with someone up there who oversees the division of SNAP and all these other pantries and so on, so that you can, I guess, have information that you could put on your webpage, which could then feed the community in terms of their knowledge of what they can do with respect to what happens when.
And I'd love to connect with the think tank that is here to figure out, because not everybody's gonna, like, I'm a nerd. This is 20, Doc looked at this and was like, really? Because, can you do it in 10 minutes? I like, no. But not everybody's going to pick up something and deep dive and read. So what is the language that we can put together around empowering you or your neighbor to have that conversation? Here's this resource. Here's this listing. Where should that database reside? Should it be a shared thing amongst social service agencies like, the school district and the city hall and the churches and stuff like that? That might be a project maybe of the wellness committee that would.
I have some contacts at the Department of Social Services, so we could talk later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. Strickland?
So really quick, Trustee Scott, I've been actually attending quite a few events with my Westchester County colleagues, and one of the things that is often brought up is the possibilities of drastic cuts to SNAP and Medicaid.
Yep.
We're thinking that school districts actually will not see the increases that we need because the state may chip in and make sure that those programs are still filled. So we have to be extremely cautious about what information we put out there.
Yes.
If Washington, D.C. decides to cut our funds, then that's going to have to come from somewhere, that being the state, because they know how much the communities, especially in our large cities, how much we depend on those services. So
Right.
just wanted to give you that. We're going to have to start some advocacy. This is a bipartisan situation, and there's going to be some things that we talk about as we move on that we need to do as a collective so that we really make our voices heard about the detrimental cuts to the community.
Thank you. Trustee Brown?
I wanted to say thank you, Ms. Jackson, for a really great presentation. I want to let the community know that I'm going to be championing this as one of my hats that I'm going to wear as a new trustee. And so we will definitely need community input and community feedback. So please, please take this opportunity to email Ms. Jackson, give her your contact information, because we are going to want to bring you along. This is one of the reasons why I ran, because we want to keep the community in the district. We want to make sure that we are touching all avenues and that we are reaching out to all of our community partners. There are open spaces that we can possibly start some gardening projects, or, I'm trying to think outside the box. And working for New York City, we've done that tons of times in the Parks Department. We've just taken over some dead lots and made them green lots and green spaces and green rules. And so I'm excited about this. Ms. Jackson has shared a lot of information. with you guys, and she's also shared with us. She's given us a huge amount of reading opportunities. So I have some weekend reading that I've been doing since I've been doing my own dive. And so I'm excited. But again, I want to just encourage everyone in the community to please, this is your opportunity. You want a voice, you want a seat at the table, this is it. This is the time is now. And I'm excited that we are going to be able to offer this to our students and to our community. This is just not for the district, this is for everyone, and let's do it collectively. So thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Peterson?
Thank you so much, Ms. Jackson, for that presentation, from one nerd to another. And yes, I did send you the link too for that CBS.
Everybody did.
Because, you know, our school food program is very important. And I'm also very worried about what's going to come down the pipeline
Right.
with cuts and everything. Now, you said that when students don't eat the breakfast and the lunch, that affects our funding?
Yes.
All right, so that's we definitely, you know, and parents and everyone, grandparents who are watching, we have a new food vendor,
Yep, a new food, Sodexo.
and I have definitely heard from my daughter that the lunches are looking great, breakfast is looking good. So we really have to encourage our parents, like parents, encourage your kids to eat at school. It saves you money, trust me. So, and especially if it affects our funding, we really have to encourage our students to eat while at school, you know, for breakfast and lunch. So thank you for letting us know about that.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with, going to look at our ex officio member, if you have anything you'd like to comment.
Okay. I'd like to say this. I love the detailed explanation that you gave. And I also like to go towards Trustee
Peterson?
Peterson. Sorry about that. It's not only the parents that are, how to say, it's not only the parents that are mostly the reason for the students not eating. It's always because of the students that are, you can't force someone to eat. And also there's a stigma behind this. For example, you know, the cool kids are eating the school lunch, they call it schoolie, blah, blah, yeah, you probably have heard that before. So that is the reason why most of the students don't really eat school lunch that much. So it's not really focused on the parents, more of the students, and we should stop the stigma. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Trustee McDonough?
Thank you, and thanks for the literature. And that's a really interesting point that you just made, Trustee, about the social aspect of eating. That's something I think over time maybe we could work on that. You can lead the way by eating your breakfast at school. I think that would be good. And Trustee Brown, what you said resonates with me. Every time I drive by Pennington, I'm like, wow, I see crops. That's what I see there. I'm like, look at all the light here. This would be great. We've converted our property so it's rich in lots of colored vegetables, and I eat from it every day. So if we have to go there, let's do it. Let's all get together and do it. A couple questions about your presentation. And I don't know if I have the right terminology here, but what is the uptake? So what percentage of the student body is currently eating the lunch? And if you don't know specifically.
I will get back to you about that. I'm about to pull down my information for September and file the claim.
Right,
so
'cause
I'll be able to tell you, absolutely.
Yeah, and that'll be good to get that baseline to know, where we can grow. Also, do you have any idea what the status of the cafeteria fund is right now with respect to the equipment that's broken? I believe we had talked about this last year, being able to tap into that money, put it to use.
I'd love to have an offline conversation
Okay.
about that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Vice President Mitchell?
So, Ms. Jackson, thank you for this presentation. This is we recently had some rendition of a presentation, and I want to thank you for bringing actual information to us, not just pictures of a meal that never existed in our schools and things like that. You just basically gave us a breakdown of a lot of the different factors that are involved. And I know that even though you shortened it to the amount of time that you did, I was also one of the ones I've said, I'm the email bandit, but you have now shown that you have great skill, because Trustee Brown and I was one of the ones, all I could do was send back an emoji and said, I'm going to have to digest this. But I just want to really thank you for giving us this top-down version, because this is understandable.
Thank you.
It's not, it's totally understandable, and it's what's the word for it? It's like crayons. You brought crayons and construction paper. I appreciate it. Two questions I have. With the looming dismantling of the state education department, will that affect the state nutritional schematic for 25 through 30? Do you foresee that?
Yes. So one of the things that happened is the new dietary guidelines that were released months ago are on hold. So we're waiting for, what's going to come of it. We understand that there will be some changes to nutrition policy. We're just not sure what they are. So I'm holding on for the roller coaster ride, as they say. But whatever it is, Mount Vernon's always been a resilient community, and we'll figure out a way to move past it.
Thank you. And in shadowing Trustee McDonough's statement about the C fund, the cafeteria fund, and the broken equipment, it's been more than a year that I know I've been involved, and Trustee White, who has been involved in chasing the broken equipment that just seem to never go away. We've got freezers and refrigerators and heaters and combos and all. They're not working right. They go down today. We've got broken equipment that have been sitting in schools for over 10 years and are still there. If I walk in the building now, they're still there. So I'm looking forward to, Sodexo. Well, first of all, you holding Sodexo accountable. For once, we're going to have someone who's going to hold that food service vendor accountable. And I'm looking forward to Sodexo working directly, taking direction from you.
Thank you.
To make sure that we get where we need to be. I think that the disconnect has been nobody knows who to talk to, but now they know who they should be talking to, so we should see things happen. And I hope you can reach out and let us know if that doesn't happen, because that's going to be the road towards the disconnect that we went through for the past near 10 years.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Ms. Jackson, for that presentation. I'd have a couple of questions. One of them is, from some of the facilities that we did close, were we able to salvage any of that equipment in order to, help with some of the broken equipment that might have been in other facilities?
Yes. I'm struggling with whether or not to say this. There was some equipment that was missing. So there's a chase, there's an investigation that needs to take place to see where things are. And for the 3 closed schools, I came to work in my jeans and sneakers and, went over with Mr. Demura and Al to see what was left in the kitchens, because it kind of looked like the rapture. Everybody just disappeared and everything was just still, in the kitchen. So some of that equipment has been reallocated to different schools, and, a push cart to Lincoln, and the working steamer at Parker going over to Ben Turner. But we're having a conversation. So we need a real true inventory. Things have stickers on them. Nobody knows who put the sticker there. Nobody knows where the list is. So there is a digital inventory that I'm going to look into to bring to the board to see if it'll be approved for, because I'm sure there's a cost and a purchase. There's also a digital platform called My School Bucks, again, that will help us. I don't like cash handling, so we'll be bringing in that platform. There is also another digital platform that will allow me to put thermometers and meters in the refrigerators, because July, August, we have people in the buildings. August, September, there's nobody in the buildings to check the temperatures to see if these refrigerators and freezers have gone down. And last weekend, I lost $1,000 worth of food because a freezer went down. So we need to kind of grab onto new technology so that we can start to get the alerts when it happens. As soon as the temperature drops below a certain, somebody should be getting an alert. Myself, whoever the new facilities director might be, the business official. But we need to not necessarily rely on, let me pull that back before the union comes. We will, sorry. We ought not necessarily rely solely on the custodians to check on these freezers and refrigerators, because that may not be their primary duty in the building that weekend. However, it is a part of facilities. That's another conversation we can have. But we do need to bring things into the 21st century and start to use the technology that's available so that we don't lose food and equipment and stuff like that.
It's my understanding that technology was looking into a fixed asset inventory program. Is that something that you've discussed with technology so that you could collaborate on that particular process, and maybe that is something that can work in tandem with the food service inventory?
That's the first I'm hearing of it. I will reach out to Mr. Ramirez
He's sitting
tomorrow.
right back there. Thank you.
Hi, friend.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so very much. We will move on to a presentation from our in-house counsel, Royce Russell, on immigration. This is agenda item 3.2. What happened to the beautiful shirt? Oh. I know it's a little chilly in here. It's
Yeah,
chilly.
well. Okay. So first, let me just start by saying that this is a presentation that was given to our staff, our principals, folks that work for the district. I say that because we're sharing this with the community, so the community has an understanding that we are investing in the people that work for the district and giving them guidance on how to deal with the challenging times. Now, having done presentations in the past and have done presentations for a variety of audiences, I must tell everyone out there that I am not giving you individual legal advice. This is a presentation so you are informed as to what we have told in the guidance that we have given to our staff. It does not create a retainer between myself or the district and the parents. The reason why I say that is because we want to prevent parents from calling the district to ask for legal advice given a particular situation. That is not our role. So with that being said, this presentation is the adaptation of other presentations that I have given around unlawful police stops. And as you see, as President Dr. Marable said, what happened to your shirt? The shirt that I have on basically sends the message, think calm. And if you look, we're going to go through these slides. We're not going to spend an enormous amount of time, but we want to hit the picture so we have some takeaways. So think calm. Click the next slide, please. Thank you. What does that stand for? That stands for stay composed, be aware, listen, and make a call. Now let's put an asterisk on make a call because that's the last, but it's also the first. Next slide. So when we think about immigration and law enforcement coming to a school, sometimes the motto or the thinking is a us against them type of position. We are here to protect the students and make sure that immigration or law enforcement is not invading our premises. But that's not really your job. And that's not your mission. Your mission is to make every effort to limit the use of restraints, visibility, and the impact of the actions on individuals in question and on the school community. So you're not there to prevent, you're there to make sure that it's done the right way. What is part of the right way? Don't have a disruption to the school day. If law enforcement shows up, immigration or otherwise, you talk to them and say, well, we need to do this later on. We need to do this after the bell rings. Give me some more information. You can only do that if you follow the first prompt of stay composed. If you're not composed and you're emotionally involved, you will miss a lot of things. All right? The above may include working with law enforcement regarding appropriate timing and location and putting the school on hold while actions occur. Next slide. Stay composed. So what is the benefit of staying composed? The ability to retain information such as names, badges, shields of law enforcement officers and immigration officers. Keep your emotions in check. Note that we all have a job to do. It's not us against them. The reason why stay composed is so important because at the end of the day, when you engage with me, I will ask you for names, badges, information. And if you're not composed and you can't give it, then you are useless. If it's not on a report, then it didn't happen. So I need folks to stay composed. Next slide. Be aware. So what does be aware really means? The benefit of being aware is the ability to authenticate purpose, probable cause for the detention and the arrest. So be aware whether or not the person before you is actually serving or showing you an arrest warrant, or are they showing you a court order? How would you know that? You have to look for things, and if you're not aware, you won't know what to look for. So you need to look for a raised seal that feels like something from a court. You need to look at something that says so ordered, so you know it comes from a judge. So that's be aware. Next slide. Listen. So now listen is not necessarily for you to be subservient, but listen is for you to listen to what is being said around you. Why is the person being detained, right? Why is the person being arrested? And the reason why that's important is because information is power. That information we will need. And as I said, the last, which is make a call, make a video, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Making videos or taking a video of any public official is a First Amendment right. You can do it freely. You don't have to worry about any repercussions. And it also sets the groundwork for having an understanding to be able to explain to parents, to be able to explain to the superintendent, to be able to explain to anybody what took place on a given time and what was your actions. Next slide. All right, so when we deal with immigration, we really need to know who we're talking about, what departments, what means what. So you see a list of different adjectives and definitions and abbreviations. You can read that on your own. Most of the time we hear things as a green card. What does that mean? That means a legal permanent resident, someone that at some point they can apply to become a citizen. How do you become a citizen? You see on the bullet points, you become a citizen by way of naturalization. There's a process. You may have heard of this term called EWI, what we call EWI, which is a person that entered without inspection. That means they came in illegally. They have no documentation. And then there's more than one way to be here illegally. You can overstay. You can come in as a tourist and overstay beyond 6 months. You come in as a student and then graduate, and then you have to leave, but you don't leave. What is my basis of knowing all this? I used to work for the Department of Justice. I used to be a trial attorney for immigration. I used to be at airports and stop people that had criminal conduct from coming into the United States, terrorists and you name it. So this information is factual. It's not fictional. So you have it on the slide. So you need to know what you're talking about and who you're talking about. We hear this word deportation. It still exists. It's really called removal. So if you hear the word removal, you're talking about one of the same things. Next slide. So there are many divisions within immigration. You have the Department of Homeland Security. That deals with customs and boards and protection and border patrol. You have Department of State that deals with visas. That's different entry ways you can enter the United States. And then you have the Department of Justice that deals with immigration court. And that's the entity that determines whether or not you stay or you leave the United States. Next slide. So Department of Homeland Security policies have changed over the years. Previously, back in 1993, you had certain areas that were called safe havens. You had schools, you had places of worship, you had funerals. Places like that you can't touch. And the case law on the slide provides support to that. But now in 2025, there's been a rescission of that. Previously non-enforceable areas are now enforceable. So the way it is couched is that ICE, immigration, now has a discretion to enter these areas. So there's no hard and fast rule. It's a discretionary. Well, if you know the discretion is to enter or you have the discretion to enter, then you're likely to do just that. So please have that understanding. Definition of protected areas are usually schools, medical facilities, places where children gather, funerals, parades, social service locations. Next slide. So what are we really talking about when we talk about immigration, ICE officers coming onto the school and wanting to either arrest, detain, or make inquiry about students, we're really talking about Fourth Amendment rights. And that's the right to be secure in your own person, your own home, your own place of business sometimes, and to be secure from unreasonable search and seizure. So what is unreasonable? That means not having a warrant. That means not having the proper documentation to conduct your business. So as a general rule, the Fourth Amendment prohibits police, in this case immigration officials, from making warrantless and non-consensual entry into the school. And so that's what we really want to look at. And it says your home, but it has been expanded upon. Next slide. So how do we combat this? First of all, we need to ask for proper paperwork. Immigration officer may not enter into a non-public areas of business, such as a school, a residence, including the curtilage of such residence. That means your yard or farm area. This case law and statute supports that. You could read that underneath, but that is the basis. Next slide. Can school refuse immigration, custom enforcement, ICE entry into the building? Their answer is yes and no. Yes, if they don't have a warrant and they don't have a court order from a magistrate or from a federal court, a federal judge, or an administrative judge such as an immigration judge that rendered an order, they cannot. If they do, then you get a chance to dictate how that is executed. And that's where the real power play is. How is something executed once they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's? Next slide. So, how does that relate to school-related events? If you have an event and it's open to the public, so let's say a teacher decides to have class in the parking lot or decide to have class in the park across the street, well, that is an open area. It doesn't matter whether the teacher's there. It is an open area. Therefore, there is no prohibition for law enforcement, ICE agent, or whomever to approach and detain, make an arrest, and ask a question. Sometimes libraries can be victimized by the same thing. A library is open to the public. Open means open. Now, a library within the school is not open because it's within the school. So, what can we do to beat that? Next slide. One of the ways we do, and then one of the ways we get around that, is that we ensure that for events that we have some type of signage that says for Mount Vernon students only, STEAM students only. Parents of STEAM students, parents of Mount Vernon students, parents of Pennington, parents of. Or you do that and you charge a nominal fee and have something that says school event. That's the way you try to get around it. This is not open. This is actually a closed event. And unless you have the proper documentation to enter, you cannot enter. So New York State executive order authorized civil arrest by federal immigration officers, officials on state property only when accompanied by a judicial warrant or court order, except in limited in facility proceedings, right? Students over 18, they're considered legal. We have to know that. They are considered an adult, a legal adult. And that's something to keep in mind, because even though they may be a student, if they are an adult, then different rules apply, all right? When you look at 2025 joint New York State and NYSEG guidance, requires schools personnel to always consult their superintendent and legal counsel. You should do that immediately. Next slide. New York endorses schools as safe havens. So New York has never changed its position as to what is a safe haven and the support around it. But immigration is a federal government and a federal mandate. So there are times where the two are in conflict. So when you have marijuana, such as marijuana, it is legal to smoke marijuana and have marijuana in the state. However, federally, it's not. So there is a distinction there. However, you should recognize that New York supports schools as safe havens. Last little paragraph there says State Education Department issued a memo that allows district to offer remote learning alternatives for students afraid to attend in person due to immigration anxieties. So that is a may, that is a discretion, is not a requirement, and it also depends upon the geographical location that you're located. Some states are higher tick and higher risk than others, and some communities are. Next slide. So employees on campus. So when immigration officials come, if they ever come to your school, it doesn't necessarily mean that they may be there to detain or arrest a student. They might be there to make sure that your records are correct. Maybe they heard that somebody was working in the kitchen or working as a teacher that overstayed their visa or were here illegally, and they want to do what they call an I-9 audit. That should occur at the district. Any officials come and they want to see who works where and what school, you refer them to the district. The district will have that information to be able to tell that official or that officer who's what, when, and where. But we may have someone that works for the district that has just completed an F1. They just completed grad school somewhere and they're doing their practicals or they're doing an externship. And you may not know that as, quote unquote, the teacher in the classroom. We may have someone that's an F1 holder, which is a student that's here visiting. You may not know that necessarily in the classroom. You might think you know, but you may not know. And in the offshoot that you have an exchange visitor, you may have that as well. So we need to be mindful of that. Next slide. So these are obligations under the law that just says basically that you have to have a warrant, you have to have subpoenas, you have to present that. And once they present that, then the advice is to, one, contact the superintendent, contact legal. However, you need to still abide by FERPA. You're not to give information away. You need to make sure that that's your guidance. Next slide. All right. As we get to the end, remember the mission. The mission is to make every effort to limit the use of restraints, visibility, and the impact of action on individuals in question on the school community. Always remember to, next slide, think calm, stay composed, be aware, listen, and make a call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Do we have questions? I'm going to start on my left. I'll start with Vice President Mitchell.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Russell, for this presentation. It was very helpful. We've heard from the public since a certain point last school year. The what's the word I'm looking for right now? Anxiety from our parents, especially in different parts of the district, that have been fearful to either send their children to school or come pick their children up or whatever. My question for this presentation going to be on our district page in more than one language?
We're in discussions on that. Dr. Strickland?
So coming,
Can we increase the volume on these mics,
Yeah,
please?
it went
Thank
down.
you.
Thank you.
so coming from a fellow sanctuary city, we're going to have to be very, very careful with what we post. We have to sort of be covert around this issue because it almost exposes us to having these federal agents try to come into our buildings. So while I am very understanding of us wanting to share information, we have to find a different way for this topic in order to keep our families safe, because they will target districts.
Yeah.
Because of this.
I get it. It's like putting your hazards on while you're double parked in front of a hydrant. I get it.
Well, let me, Trustee Mitchell and Dr. Strickland, what is an alternative possibility? If a parent has a question, you can refer them to a certain board meeting. Maybe they can tune in, something like that.
Right, but that would mean that this board meeting was transmitido in Espanol, and I don't think that's the case. But can our PTAs share the information that you just shared here to their parents? That some of our PTAs are mainly Spanish speaking, and our parent liaisons as well. Will they be able to share what was shared here today to the parents that are inquiring?
I would discuss that further with Dr. Strickland, but in abundance of caution, that if the PTA president or the PTA personnel can control the documentation in the translation of it, the information is still given out, but it's not out, right? because as I do these presentations about illegal stops, I don't mind if the person that stopped, the officer sees a book or sees a card or sees a wristband. I don't mind that because that may stop them from doing what they think that they were going to do illegally because they may say, oh, that person knows a little bit more, so let me stop. This has different ramifications. They see that, they see a logo, they say, all right, well, now we're going to go full-fledged ahead to do more rather than less. So that would be my, safe warning on that.
Just a comment in terms of translation. I believe, are we on YouTube? Can someone tell me if we're on YouTube? We're on Facebook. Okay, because there is a translation on YouTube if we were on YouTube. So we need to look into making sure that we are available on all platforms that will assist our parents in receiving all types of information. Any other questions? And also, our parent liaisons, are they also able to disseminate information to our parents in different languages, or if they need the information, they can go to those parent liaisons as well and receive some of that information?
We could look into the job specs for the parent liaisons and see how they can be another resource for us to support, with translation and things that they sort of already do. They're helping to bridge the gap and try to explain that, we're going to keep our students safe when they're with us. And, it's just knowing exactly what we want from them,
Thank
have
you.
to be careful.
Trustee McDonough, do you have any questions? Trustee Leonard, do you have any? Okay. Trustee Peterson, Trustee Brown, Trustee Scott. Okay.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
We'll be moving on to section 4 of, I'm sorry. We have, I apologize. We have 3.3 superintendent goals from Dr. Strickland.
You're going to be able to flick for me? Thank you, sir. Absolutely. So I only have 7 slides. I just need to make that very clear. I've been doing this a lot, and I want the information to really just get in and let it be done. So great evening, President Marabell, Vice President Mitchell, Board of Education trustees, students, staff, and the City of Mount Vernon. Here's my presentation on my goals for the 2025-2026 school year. This year, you can go back. This year, we have declared it the year of transformational leadership. When we talk about transformation, we're not simply referring to change. We're talking about meaningful, sustainable improvement that reshapes culture, systems, and outcomes. Transformation happens when leadership is intentional, when teams are aligned, and when every action ties back to our shared vision for student success. Tonight's work session focuses on connecting that vision to concrete structures that hold us accountable, particularly through our district and superintendent's goals and the superintendent's evaluation model. The goal is simple: to ensure that transformational leadership is not a theme, but a practice that moves us forward together. Next slide. So for this presentation, I just gave you the overview, the year of transformational leadership. I am going to briefly review the 2025-2026 goals, talk to you about the superintendent's evaluation tool, and then really dive deep with the council's superintendent model evaluation, which is from the New York State Council of School Superintendents. Next slide. To guide this transformational work, we are drawing from the work of Chip and Dan Heath in their book, Switch. I have ordered a book for every school leader. It's How to Change Things When Change is Hard. Their framework helps us to understand to create lasting change within an organization. They describe 3 essential components. First, direct the writer. This means giving people clarity, showing them exactly where they're going and mapping out critical moves to get there. Second, motivate the elephant, because people don't move by logic alone. Change happens when there is purpose, emotion, and belief that the work matters. And finally, shape the path, which means building systems and structures that make success easier and more natural. When the rider, the elephant, and the path align, change is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. This is the framework that will guide our district leadership work this year. Next slide. I always bring into every presentation that I have my core beliefs. Every child has unlimited potential. Literacy is the key to unlocking a child's future. The quality of teaching determines the quality of learning. Strong relationships create strong outcomes, and a child's zip code should not determine their future. These remind us that this work is transformational above all else, and it's a moral obligation for me. Next slide. Our goals for the 2025 school year reflect 2025-2026 school year reflect both ambition and focus. We are setting targets that are measurable, attainable, and deeply connected to student outcomes. We will increase proficiency in ELA and math by 5 percentage points, ensuring that our students are gaining the foundational skills they need for lifelong success. We are paying particular attention to our 3rd and 5th grade benchmarks, where literacy and numeracy take root. At the secondary level, we are strengthening systems around credit accumulation for 9th graders to ensure they start high school strong, and we are setting clear, measurable goals for graduation to move from 79%. So I just want to put that out there. That is an update. We're at 79%, not 76% as previously thought. Yes. But with that being said, that's the whole district. But with that being said, the new benchmark is now 84%. Students, these numbers represent students who walk across that stage ready for college, career, and life. Every percentage point represents a story of success. I will not just stop and say, 84%, because that means 16% of our students are lost somewhere. However, we do have to just keep chipping away at the goals so that we're able to see student success for all of our students in Mount Vernon. Next slide. To ensure that our leadership remains accountable and aligned to district priorities, we are using the council superintendent's evaluation model. This process is not about evaluation for the sake of evaluation. It's about continuous improvement and reflection. There will be 2 key milestones: the mid-year evaluation in January, which will serve as a progress check for me, a moment for me to pause, reflect, and recalibrate as needed. The end-of-year evaluation in July or August will provide a comprehensive review of outcomes and leadership impact. What's important to note is that this model is also being mirrored for our cabinet team. We are creating a culture of shared accountability where every leader is evaluated not by what they do, but by the results they help produce. Next slide. And then finally, the superintendent evaluation is organized by 5 domains. The first is the relationship with the Board of Education, which ensures clear communication, trust, transparency between governance and leadership. The second is community relations, emphasizing how well we engage our families, partners, and the broader community in our mission. The third is staff relationships, focusing on cultivating a supportive culture that develops and retains excellent educators. The fourth is business and finance, ensuring fiscal responsibility, efficiency, and alignment of resources with priorities. And the fifth is instructional leadership, which is the heart of the work, leading, teaching, and learning to improve student outcomes. Each of these areas is weighted equally because true leadership is holistic. Strong instruction cannot exist without strong relationships, and fiscal responsibility must always serve student learning. Next slide. And as we close, I want to open the floor for questions under the auspices of President Marbo, reflections, and feedback. This session was not only about sharing information, it's about building a shared understanding and alignment. Transformational leadership requires collaboration, trust, and clarity. The plans and structures we've reviewed tonight represent our commitment to those values. Together, we are building a district that moves with purpose, one that is transparent, accountable, and relentlessly focused on student success. The work ahead will not always be easy, but it will be meaningful. Because at the end of the day, transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens through leadership, partnership, and belief that every child in Mount Vernon deserves our very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson.
Dr. Strickland.
I mean, Dr. Strickland, Lord have mercy.
Thank you, President
All right.
Marble.
Hey, that's right. Prophetic word right there. Prophetic word. Do we have any questions from our trustees to my right? Okay. Any questions from our trustees from on my left? Dr. McDonough?
Hi, thanks. So just in the presentation that we have in the board docs, so you see there are multiple pages with a lot of boxes: ineffective, developing, effective, highly effective. So we'll be using that rubric.
Yes. So I actually have copies somewhere in this building. I don't, I'll be moving a mile a minute and I'm all over the place. I printed out the actual evaluation tool for you all to actually review, but I also did the hyperlink on board docs, so you can click on the document and the link and it'll show you exactly how I'm being evaluated. And it's a very similar format, the heady format that's used for teachers and for our principals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice President Mitchell. What is going on?
Not Vice President Peterson. We're not there. No, so I'm just going to say thank you, Dr. Strickland. You're Dr. Strickland, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, still Strickland.
Now, I just want to say thank you for the presentation because I've seen a lot of years pass by. I don't think we've ever had a superintendent that told us in this fashion, as robustly as you just did, what the process is. I want to say definitely a kudos to our district, our people, Dr. Doggett, and the teachers who are part of that 3% increase, that 79%. That's part of that hard work, that bread and butter that we've been hearing about for so many months now. But thank you, Dr. Strickland, for putting this together for us so that we can share with the public how it works. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want this to be out there in the open because, again, I'm not looking at this as a punitive process, but a process that's going to help me grow. Of course, I am type A, and I need you to give me all highly effectives. However, the reality is I know I'm not going to be there in all areas. I'm going to be developing in some areas. There's a lot of things going on in this district. I told you 15 things a day. So it is hard to prioritize what should come first, what is urgent. Everything seems urgent. It's a lot. So I do know that I will falter at some items, but do know that I'm always thinking about how I'm going to get better so that we have a district that's moving with change.
I would just like to say I appreciate the transparency. We did discuss this, that this was the tool that we agreed that you presented to us and that we agreed that we would use. So we will be discussing it in executive session as well. So just to let you know, we value your transparency and your leadership, Dr. Strickland. I'm glad you're here. So. So we will be moving on to human resources section. This is a standard section that we have every meeting, so I'm going to do something a little different. I'd like to know on items 4.1 through 4.8, you have received, oh, they changed? Oh, okay. 4.1 through 4.8, you've had these, this information for a while. Are there any questions? Is there anything on any particular resolution that you would like to discuss? If you give us the title, then we can work with it. So are there any? Okay, so, okay, got it. Any questions from anyone to my left? Any questions on anyone to my right? So I will assume that at this point that 4.1 through 4.8, there are no questions, so we will move on to section 5, curriculum and instruction. Are there any questions on anything from 5.1 through 5.5? Asking any trustee to my right, are there any questions from 5.1 through 5.5? Trustee Brown.
I promise I'll be fast. When I was looking at the MOU,
Identify the.
I'm sorry. Give me
so-
1 second. It is 5.5.
So let me, to make it easier for people to follow along.
Yep.
So since there are questions on this particular one, I'll go through each one. Okay, that's okay. 5.1, authorization for Mount Vernon STEAM Academy students to participate in ACE mentoring program at Manhattanville College. Are there any questions? 5.2, authorization to pay Mount Vernon STEAM Academy teachers to participate in online training for engineering courses and computer courses. Are there any questions? We good? 5.3, authorization to hire staff for the 2025-2026 K through 8 MTSS team. Vice President Mitchell.
So there are, one of these instances, I see that the administrator is on here for as an administrator and for MTSS leadership, and then they're also on here for as a, I'm sorry, as part of the, as at the building level as well for their particular building. And when I saw it earlier, is it changed? So can see here. So for here, so she's there.
So from my understanding, just to be very clear, we have a district level MTSS team. This principal in particular is really helping with the training of the other individuals at the schools and as it pertains to MTSS, but also leads their own MTSS team at their school. So there's a district team, which is, from my understanding, very, very truncated this year from what it used to be. And same thing with the actual schools. So that's why there's one for this one particular school leader. Dr. Doggett, do you have anything to add?
Yes, just to echo everything he said, that person has two distinct jobs. They help out the leadership team. The leadership team, we work together. They report to me, we plan out, and then they go execute with the school leadership teams. However, they still have to lead their team as well. I'm not quite sure if you remember when I did the PBIS from the principal seat, I also did the same thing. I was part of the leadership team, and then I also was part of the school team as well. And also, this resolution has been significantly reduced. If you look at last year's resolution, we had, I think 6 MTSS members. We brought it down to 2 because that team will work with the school-based team. So we basically reduced the resolution amount by $30,000.
I appreciate the explanation and the comparison, especially the reduction. The only other thing I'm going to call out is the name here says one thing, and then when the name appears down here, it should probably be the same.
That will be corrected.
That's
Thank you.
cool. The only other question I have is, what is the term split when you see it for administrators? Does that mean that the total amount is split between?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that.
Any other questions on 5.3? Okay. 5.4, authorization to hire staff for the 2025-2026 Together Against Hate Teams.
I have a question for it.
Okay, go ahead. We'll go back to 5.2.
So
5.4, Vice President Mitchell?
you want to go back?
No,
or-
we'll go back after.
All right. So this is more of a question of where we landed. Is this renaming from where it was? I know we had heard that the statements were made against that other organization that were unfounded. So does that mean we are still engaged with that organization that underneath the other name, the ADL?
Yes, we're still engaged with them, but this is we're phasing out. So we're using what we have. We're continuing what we have. We changed the name, and we're going to phase them out to start our own for the following year.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think that there was members of the public that did come out and speak. They'd like to be aware of that update.
I'll contact him.
Thank you. Oh, I think this was good.
Okay, we're going to finish out 5, and then we'll go back into 5 if there are other questions that we missed. 5.5, authorization to accept a memorandum of understanding between Iona Preparatory Upper School Varsity Swim Team and the Mount Vernon City School District for pool usage at the Mount Vernon High School Aquatic Facility. Trustee Brown.
So my only thing, you know how I am, I'm a stickler for dates, and because it says October 6th and we're past the 6th, I'm always just really concerned that we are keeping a good cadence when it comes to the dates. So
So, no, I was just, so remember, there's some signing that has to happen because the program starts. However, because of our requirements with the SAMs and the COIs, it is delayed. We have to make sure they have the insurance. And once they have the insurance, it's being executed in a sense. So we're just doing our duty
The
by making
formality of
sure,
it.
yes.
Okay.
You see this and we're just being upfront and transparent about it.
okay, no.
So they don't want the authorization to take place before they've made all of the necessary requirements on the contracts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So Section 5, 5.2, I believe, Trustee Scott, you'd like to go back to 5.2, authorization to pay Mount Vernon STEAM Academy teachers to participate in online training for engineering courses and computer courses.
Yes, thank you very much. I just wanted to get some clarity on the numbers here. Mostly the second one. Is the cost of that class the same as the first one? And are the hours correct? Should it be 7 to 10 as well, or is 8 to 10?
No, those two distinct courses. The first one is Introduction to Engineering. The second one is PLTW Computer Science Principles. But want to make sure, I'll make sure that we get you the exact information as that.
Yeah, because at least the first one, at least it has the cost of the class, but the second one doesn't. So I just wanted to know.
It does. It's in the wrong line. I see it. It's in the wrong line. I see what you're talking about.
Okay,
It should be upper line.
it should be upper.
In the total,
In the total, it should be upper, but also the cost of the class is not there. From what I'm seeing, unless my screen is not the most accurate one. Okay, so just wanted to know what the cost of that class was.
yes, 5920. It's in the wrong cell.
They both cost the same amount, but the hours are, because one is 3 hours and one is 2, but they cost the same amount. Okay, just wanted. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just have that corrected for,
Yeah.
okay.
I really want to make it clear. We're making some good strides each board meeting to make sure that people are being diligent about their tabs or resolutions, because it becomes a lot for us to all, try to nickel and dime each of these resolutions. But I'm putting this plea out there to the staff. All this chatter is not good, so we have to make sure we get it right. And that's, I'm just going to double down on that. So for all the staff watching, come on, let's get it together. Love y'all.
Okay.
I just have a,
Okay, Trustee Brown?
the date of it says September 29th, so this person has already started this course? Or is that a error? because up here at the top it says, I mean, I guess the intro to engineering, and then you have the computer.
Please use your microphone.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The dates, I'm concerned, did this teacher start the intro to engineering, introduction to engineering? Because I see at the second part, computer science principles, or is he taking them like right after each other, concurrently? Because I see November 18th through April, but then this is September through December. So just,
So that's another area where it looks like they've already started.
okay.
One of the things that I just want to be transparent again and tell you, this week, after receiving like many late resolutions and things of that nature, I could not take it. We now have a board calendar that tells everyone when everything is due, and anything that comes to the work session will have to go through me. It'll have to be an exception form. That information was sent out to all of the individuals that have access to board docs. These are things that I'm not playing about. It becomes embarrassing. It becomes, we're holding things up, and we just have to be very much more tight as it pertains to this work. So do know that even though I'm up here and I feel bad that I'm making excuses, the staff now has tools to ensure that we are doing this work the way we should be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on section 5?
So that should be amended.
Does, okay, well, okay. We'll talk offline after. Okay, no problem. Section 6, Student Personnel Services. 6.1, Approval of Student Personnel Services Memorandum Number 05 dated October 28, 2025. Any questions? 6.2, Authorization to approve the Youth Leadership Institute and CHIP program at Lincoln School. Any questions? Section 7, Business Office. 7.1, approves the settlement of tax proceedings for Fulton Miller LLC. Any questions? 7.2, authorization to pay the American Arbitration Association. Any questions?
Just one question. This is a
For
normal.
Vice President Mitchell.
Sorry. This is just a normal payout is this yearly? No? Is this related to some specific thing? Okay, and all right. That's what I needed to understand. I saw the backup. I just wanted to know if it's something yearly. Thank you.
Just for information, we have a list of arbitrators that we approve annually, and then when we actually need to pull from that list and specifically, then we have a resolution that actually is presented to us, correct? Okay. 7.3, 11 point. Okay. 7.3, which is 11.2, amendment approval for cheerleading team to travel to Wilkes-Barre Township, Pennsylvania to compete in the regional competition. Questions? On my right, any questions?
No, but I do
Trustee
thank
Scott?
you. No, but I do thank, because I think this is something that I brought up last time, so I thank you for the amendment.
Okay. Trustee Vice President Mitchell?
So, you brought up the missing name, I think, and the missing name is now here. So I just want to say thank you for adding the missing name that Trustee Scott called out last time. Thank you.
Okay, we're good? Okay. Okay. Section 8, Board of Education. We need to vote on these now? Okay. 8.1, approves an amendment to the Board of Education meeting schedule for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions? 8.2, authorization to adopt the retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records, LGS-1. Any questions? Section 9, items to consent agenda. 9.1, authorization to send items to consent agenda. Any questions on that? Okay, we're gonna have a motion. I'll entertain a motion.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded that we have authorized items to be sent to a consent agenda.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, we will be voting on items on section 10.
Motion, please.
10.1, authorization and employment agreement with Ed Joseph as Assistant Superintendent for Business. May I have a motion?
Madam President, we have trustee White on the, online. You can't see it because we're on this thing. Did you hear her vote?
Oh, I did not, but I got her.
Trustee White, can you hear us?
Did you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. We're-
Just to clarify for 9.1, can we have your vote for 9.1, authorization to send items to consent
I was
agenda?
muted, but I said yes.
Thank you. Resolution 10.1, authorizing employment agreement with Ed Joseph as Assistant Superintendent for Business. May,
I had a
We
first
have-
from trustee Brown. I need a second.
Second.
Questions, concerns, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
thank you.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, we currently is Mr. Ed Joseph currently with us? Yes, if you are, we would like to meet you. Hello, how are you? And if you wouldn't mind, coming to the podium, and if you wouldn't mind just saying a few words?
Yes, good evening, Madam Dr. Madam President, and the fellow trustees, and Mr. Dr. Strickland, and the member of the board who's not present here at home, and as well as the public. What such honor that it is for me to be here to return to Westchester, Mount Vernon, that this is almost like a home to me, that I've had some years of delivering technology here. So it is a privilege to be at this level, to be with the superintendent who is supported by this board, that there's a very strong leader here, that I'm really excited about this opportunity. I know it's a tough road. There's a lot of work here. Unequivocally, there's a lot of work here. And I'm not afraid of this work. There's competency here. There's competence here. So I'm just honored. I'm just honored. And one key thing that the superintendent brought up again, that a zip code should not define the foundational education that a student received. So I know much about different zip codes, and I want to make sure, I'm going to do my best to make sure that the student here in Mount Vernon, under the leadership of the superintendent, with the support from the board, that we make sure that district becomes an exemplar district. It's a tough road. I know it can happen. I believe it. So thank you again for this opportunity to serve you.
Thank you, thank you. We're gonna have to get you a shirt too. 10.2, Human Resources, number 133A, Certified Probationary Administrative Appointment. May I have a motion?
Second.
First and seconded, Are there any questions?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, do we have Dana Marie Gardner here with us? Welcome. Please come forward so we may meet you.
So good evening, distinguished members of the board, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Strickland, and his cabinet members. I am deeply humbled and honored to accept this position of Director of Student Services and Data Quality Compliance. I am grateful for this opportunity and look forward to continuing to serve the students and families of the Mount Vernon City School District in this role. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for accepting the challenge. Mr. Joseph, I'd like to invite you to the cabinet table. You might as well get baptized by fire tonight.
Do you like Ed or Eddie?
Okay. 10.3, appointment of an impartial hearing officer, case number 664505. Are there any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, I need a motion. Motion. Second. Okay, first and second, are there any questions?
All in
Hearing
favor?
none, I'll take a vote.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Section 11, discussion legislative priorities, discussion of legislative priorities. Dr. Strickland?
So good evening again, trustees, and also to the students in the Mount Vernon community. Here before us, there are about 10 priorities that I've been sort of researching about, thinking about some of the needs of our district, and actually wanting to begin a conversation with you all on this day as to what is it that's going to be so comprehensive that when it's time to lobby in Albany, I want to be extremely clear as to the things that that we need for our district. I had a fantastic meeting today with Assemblyman Pretlow and Senator Bailey. They thanked me for sharing these priorities with them ahead of time, and also started talking about how it is that they can support the district because they have this information. So for instance, I'm thinking about bullet aid, and not the negative bullet aid, but bullet aid is just funding that can come to the city, for certain programming. Senator Bailey really talked a lot about capital, how that can come to us at almost any time if we have some issues in our schools and things of that nature that need to be corrected. We actually can go ahead and start trying to find out how we can get funding for our schools to make long-standing improvements. But in other words, these are the other priorities that may need to get siphoned down. But this is, again, based off of my needs assessment, this is where I feel we should really look and lay our head as we advocate with different lawmakers in Albany. So it is around special education, concerned again about, the federal government and the pre-K. We currently have a wait list for our 3-year-olds. And when we are in a city where the students are already starting behind their peers around us, and we need to, we need more funding so that we can actually run a robust program for all of our students. And because we don't have the funds in a fund to actually support what it is that we need to do. Definitely with our facilities and infrastructure, we really need some major upgrades in our buildings. We have schools that I'm concerned about just safety pieces, and not safety in regards to, you know, things falling and things of that nature. I'm talking about basics, locked doors, and you know, what do we do if something happens, and we really need some improvements. Even badge access, swiping in the buildings, you can't do that at every school. We really have to make improvements in that area. Bilingual education. So I was an administrator of a bilingual school, and when I visited the school that is 49% bilingual or Spanish speaking, and we are not offering a comprehensive bilingual program, that is extremely problematic. I am going to be talking with the Associate Commissioner, Lisa Alvarez, who I had the pleasure of working with through a corrective action plan in Rochester, where we were able to remove 3 out of 4 different areas of noncompliance during my year as superintendent. And I know she's going to come with one down here, because we are not providing an equitable education to our bilingual learners. And many of we want to move towards biliteracy and bilingualism or multilingualism, and we're not currently doing that. So that's going to require more funds. Our Title III funds is not enough to support our students that speak languages other than English. Career and technical education, we're really trying to make drastic improvements to the spaces, and this is actually where Senator Bailey said they might be able to help, because that can fall under capital. So we definitely want to improve the spaces, make sure that the equipment is state-of-the-art, up to date, so our students are not just college ready, but they're also career ready. Transportation and pedestrian safety, always trying to look for more aid on the transportation. We spent, our budget for transportation, $17 million. In this small of a district, it's just yikes. It's yikes. Finally, equity and achievement gap reduction. Our students, again, are behind from their suburban peers in Westchester County, and we need to continue to invest in their success in whatever way, shape we can. That being extended learning time, which is after school, before school programs, providing small group instruction meaning we need more teaching staff to help support this, intervention specialists to help bring up students or close the gaps, and we want to provide more high-level coursework, AP, International Baccalaureate. I would love to see us start looking for an International Baccalaureate program, one school in the South, starting with PYP, which is a primary years program, and then one student in the north, one school in the north, that would then feed into a comprehensive International Baccalaureate program, which we know that is currently at Mount Vernon High School, so that we have we're building a high quality program at that school that people can just filter into. Technology and digital equity, our students not having access to things like Wi-Fi at home. We really need to enhance some of those structures. It would be great if we gave hotspots and things of that nature. This would just help us keep up with the ever-changing technical landscape. And then finally, community engagement and partnerships. How are we supporting our families in-house? Moving towards community school models. Every single one of these schools should be a community school in this district, considering we are a walking school district. How do we set up these schools to be these beacons of hope that, are just open often, places for our students and families to go get services. I want to see that we begin to invest in those items. So with that being said, I don't know if I left out anything. When I go to Albany, I advocate hard, and I'm going to be advocating just as I did last year when I was at that, whatever we were sitting at. I was advocating for all of us. I'm like, look, we need money, and I'm not going to stop until we're successful in financially solving. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Trustee McDonough?
I want to thank you. It looks like you left no stone unturned here. I was thinking, what's not a priority? I don't think this covers pretty much everything. So I like to hear the funding strategies. I'm glad we have Dr. Joseph here with us now. That's going to be very, very useful.
Yes.
So we can dig in to these funding strategies. CapEx is important, and the idea of bonding, in addition to getting our local state senators and assemblymen on board,
Absolutely.
that can help a lot. You can see areas throughout, even like something like sidewalks can be CapEx, things like that.
Yes.
That's great. Efficiency measures, yes. What about a bond for instructional as well?
You said
to expand some of your instructional goals here.
So that's where maybe the bullet aid may come in. I've just learned about that today. I'm all ears, you know what I mean, as it pertains to what is it that we need to do to make sure that we have money. I did find out from the Assemblyman Pretlow and Senator Bailey that we cannot use capital money, for instructional items, but we can use it for the spaces. So, when we're talking about how do we make sure that our students with disabilities have access, since we have growing numbers of self-contained classrooms, we need to make sure that our classrooms are ADA compliant, and those are some of the many things that we can do. It's just knowing how to pare it down. The instruction hasn't necessarily been the issue in the district. It is the finances, and then it's starting to be the crumbling infrastructure. So, I'll continue to look into that, and thankfully we have our business official now, because I was the superintendent for business, and he can help me fill in those other gaps on how we can improve.
Just a quick follow-up. The preschool is a real head scratcher.
Yes.
Because unless we absorb it locally and we as a community decide to take that cost on and somehow build that into our tax base in a substantial way, then we are dependent on the uncertain kindness of the wider world.
So,
but we can't be. I mean, we have to do this.
Yes.
It is not a want to. 2 and 3 year olds is essential. It's
agree.
essential.
I just want to great comment. One of the so Mount Vernon was one of the original cities that was able to offer a pre-kindergarten program. What is happening now is that schools that are now coming in offering UPK programs, they are actually getting a higher allotment than cities like Buffalo, Mount Vernon, Rochester, Syracuse, so on and so forth. So we are not able to pay for the amount of classes that we need with that funding. So when I use that in there, I'm saying, yes, I want more money, but two, it's also a reminder that lawmakers, we need you to really fix the funding formula so that we are getting the same amounts of funds as if we were to start UPK this year, because we're not.
Okay. Questions? Any other questions or comments? Okay. We are at, this is maybe a little long, 12.1 policies. First reading for policy 0111, sexual harassment grievances under Title IX. Policy 011, non-discrimination and equal opportunity. Policy 2245, ex officio student member, and nepotism. So just to help you out, Royce, if you would like assistance, I could ask VP Mitchell to read one. I can read one. So, no, it's the first. So, so, okay. So, okay. Okay, so Vice President Mitchell, would you like to read the first for us, please?
And this is 12-1?
Yes.
Hold on, just waiting for it to open up here.
Just for the trustees that will be reading, and just for the public in general, there are areas that are in red. And as you know, we have discussions beyond, what is read here. So that is just a point of emphasis, so you'll know, all right? Something that when I write them up, I say, oh, this is an area that we probably need to talk about, and everything else I may be comfortable with, but once again, it's up to the board. So just so you know that, okay? Thank you.
Okay. Policies and Bylaws, Section Series 0000, NISBA, Title Non-Discrimination and Equal Opportunity, Code 0100, Status Active. Are we reading what's in red also? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay. The Mount Vernon City School District is committed to the principles of non-discrimination and equal employment opportunity and to compliance with all federal, state, and local laws concerning discrimination. To this end, the District Board of Education, its officers and employees will not discriminate in its programs, activities, or employment practices on the basis of legally protected characteristics and classes, including, but not limited to, race, including traits historically associated with race, color, creed, religion, including sincerely held practices, national origin, citizenship, immigration status, marital status, familial status, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation. Went too far. Hold on. Sorry about that. I clicked too far. Okay. Sexual orientation, gender, identity, and expression, age, disability, mental, physical, or otherwise, use of guide or service or hearing dog, genetic predisposition, status as a victim of domestic violence, military work, or status or lawful source of income. The policy of non-discrimination and equal opportunity applies to all educational courses and programs, curricular and extracurricular activities, and student services. This policy also applies to all employment practices, including but not limited to hiring, including failure or refusal to hire, contract renewal, tenure awards, training, job assignment, promotion, layoff, transfer, discipline, termination, compensation, benefits, working conditions, and other obligations and privileges of employment. The District and Board of Education specifically prohibits all forms of illegal discrimination by employees, school volunteers, students, and non-employees such as contractors and vendors, as well as visitors and other third parties who are participating in, observing, present at, or otherwise engaging in activities subject to the supervision and control of the district. The superintendent of the schools shall designate one or more employees as compliance officers whose responsibility will be to ensure compliance with the various federal and state statutes and regulations prohibiting illegal discrimination in educational programs, including Title IX of the Educational Amendments of 1972, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Specific protections for students under the Dignity for All Students Act are addressed in policies to be filled in. The district endeavors to create a safe, supportive, and affirming school environment for all, including transgender and gender-expansive students. Nothing in this policy is meant to be, nor will be, construed to prohibit the denial of the admission into or exclusion from a course of instruction or activity based on the person's gender that would be permissible under the law, or to prohibit as discrimination based on disability actions that would be permissible under the law. Are we reading what's in italics? Italicized, equal opportunity and non-discrimination are not only consistent with good business and educational practice, but more importantly, they are moral concerns and obligations for each member of the district's community and for the district as a whole. A finding that an individual has engaged in conduct in violation of this policy may result in disciplinary action and or other consequences consistent with the district's code of conduct, the applicable collective bargaining agreement or contract, and the law. Policy adopted.
Thank you. Who's reading sexual harassment grievances, Title IX? Trustee Brown?
Sexual harassment grievances, Title IX? Policies.
Your microphone.
Apologies, let me get comfortable here. It's a long one. A little too comfortable. All right. Book policies, section policies, title sexual harassment grievances under Title IX, Code 01111, status active. The district's notice of non-discrimination will be posted on its website and in each handbook, catalog, announcement, bulletin, and application form, which are available to people who are entitled to notice or otherwise use in connection with the recruitment of employees. However, due to the size of format of those publications, the district may instead include a statement that the district prohibits sex discrimination in its educational programs and activities, that individuals may report concerns or questions to the Title IX coordinator, and the location of the full notice on the district's website. Employee requirements. All employees except those designated as confidential under Title IX and those who have been personally subjected to conduct which may constitute sex discrimination under Title IX are required to notify the Title IX coordinator if they have information about conduct that reasonably may constitute sexual discrimination under Title IX and its regulations. Supportive measures. The district will offer supportive measures to complaints or respondents in cases alleging sex discrimination and sex-based harassment as required by Title IX regulations. Supportive measures may include but not limited to counseling, extension of deadlines and other course-related adjustment, escort while on school grounds or activities. 4, increased security and monitoring of certain areas of the district. 5, restrictions on conflict applied to one or more parties. 6, leave of absence. 7, change in class, work, or extracurricular or any other activity, regardless of whether there is or not a comparable alternative. And 8, training and education programs related to sex-based harassment. Emergency removals and administrative leave. The district may remove a respondent from the district's educational program or activity on an emergency basis. To do so, the district must perform an individualized safety and risk analysis, determine that an imminent and serious threat to the health or safety of a complainant or any student, employee, or other person justifies removal, and provides the respondent with notice and opportunity to challenge the decision immediately following the removal. Any such removal will be in accordance with the district's responsibilities under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, the American with Disabilities Act, and the State Educational Law, Section 3214. The district may also place an employee, respondent, or administrative leave while the Title IX grievance process is pending. Any such leave will be in accordance with the district's responsibilities under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, the Americans with Disability Act, State Education Law, Section 3020A, and State Civil Service Law, Section 75. Pregnancy and related conditions. Under the Title IX regulations, pregnancy or related conditions means 1, pregnancy, childbirth, termination of pregnancy, or lactation. 2, medical conditions related to pregnancy, childbirth, termination of pregnancy, or lactation. Or 3, recovery from pregnancy, childbirth, termination of pregnancy, lactation, or related medical conditions. The district will not discriminate against students, employees, or applicants for employment based on their current, potential, or past pregnancy or related conditions. Under the Title IX regulations, the district has specific responsibilities regarding students who are pregnant or have related conditions. Providing the students with the contact information of the Title IX coordinator required of all employees who are informed by the student or their legal representative of their pregnancy or related condition. 2, informing the student and, if applicable, their legal representative who informed the Title IX coordinator of the pregnancy or related conditions of their rights under the Title IX regulations and the district's non-discrimination notice. Making reasonable modifications based on the student's needs and in consultation with the student, as long as they do not have fundamentally altered the district's education program or activity, including but not limited to health or lactation breaks, absence, online, homeward-bound instruction, time extensions, sitting, standing, access to water, counseling, physical space or supply changes, elevator access or changes to policies, practices, or procedures. 4, allowing the student to voluntarily access separate programs and activities which are comparable to those offered to students who are not pregnant or have related conditions. 5, allowing the students to voluntarily take a leave of absence if they are not of compulsory school age and to be reinstated to their academic and extracurricular, if possible, status when they return. Providing access to a lactation space other than a bathroom, which is clean, shielded from view, and free from intrusion from others to express breast milk or breastfed if students are permitted to bring their children to the district's program or activity. 7, only requiring supporting documentation that is necessary and reasonable for the district to determine the reasonable modification to make. 8, providing medical service comparable to what the district would provide for others' temporary medical conditions and only requiring certification from a healthcare provider that the student is physically able to participate in the district's education program or activity if A, a certain level of physical ability or health is necessary for participation, B, all students participating in the class, program, or activity are required to provide such certification, and C, the information is not used as a basis for prohibited discrimination. The Title IX regulations require the district to provide reasonable break time and access to a lactation space for employees to express breast milk or breastfed if employees are permitted to bring their children to the district's program or activity as needed. Employees have specific rights to express breast milk under federal and state laws. Training. The district will ensure that all employees receive training related to their duties under Title IX promptly upon hiring or change of position and annually thereafter. Such training will include the district's obligation to address sex discrimination, the scope of conduct that constitutes sex discrimination, and sex-based harassment, and employee notification requirements under Title IX. Personnel in positions with additional responsibilities under Title IX will receive training specific to those responsibilities. Those positions include investigation, decision makers, persons who implement the district's grievance procedures or can modify or terminate supportive measures. Informal resolution facilitators if the district offers informal resolution, and Title IX coordinators and designees. Students with disabilities. For students with disabilities who are either a compliant or complainant or respondent for the Title IX complaint, and the Title IX coordinator will consult with members of a student's IEP or placement team to determine how to comply with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and or Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Record keeping. The district will maintain the following record in accordance with the Retention and Disposition Schedule, IGS-1 for New York Local Government Records. All records documenting the information, resolution, or grievance procedure for all complaints of sex discrimination and the resulting outcome. 2, all records documenting the action the district took in response to notification received by the Title IX coordinator about conduct that reasonably may constitute sex discrimination. And 3, all materials used to provide training under Title IX, which must be made available to members of the public upon request.
Thank you. Do we have a volunteer to read the ex officio student member of the board policy?
I'll
Well, thank you, Trustee Peterson.
Uh-uh. Oh, everybody's spilling? What's going on today? Good grief. You know? Okay, book, Policies and Bylaws, Section Series 2000-2999, Governance and Operations. Title, Ex Officio Student Member of the Board, Code 2245, Status Active. Ex Officio Student Member of the Board. The Board of Education believes that it is important to include students' voices in its deliberations. Pursuant to law, the board will designate at least one ex officio student member of the board for the purpose of providing regular and direct communication between the board and the student body. Good faith actions, mutual respect, and cooperative effort of all parties are essential to a positive and meaningful partnership and bringing about meaningful changes. To that end, the board believes that an ex officio student member will provide students with an opportunity to express their voices, take ownership of their education, and impact board decisions. Provide for the board and students a vehicle through which they may exchange information and learn from one another. Provide an opportunity for students to gain experience with governance and leadership. Broaden the base of information available to those ultimately responsible for educational decision-making, and develop an environment that encourages inclusion, understanding, trust, and respect. Position of ex officio student member of the board. As required by law, the board will have at least one ex officio student member. The ex officio student member will be entitled to sit with board members at all public meetings and hearings and may participate in other board activities and responsibilities at the discretion of the board. The ex officio student member will not be required to participate in mandatory training for elected or appointed board members and may be excused to leave meetings early upon the approval of the board president. The ex officio student member will not be allowed to vote, be allowed to attend executive sessions or other meetings/hearings not open to the public, be entitled to receive compensation of any form for participating at board meetings, you might want to add an S after that, add board meetings. Have the authority to call a special and/or emergency meeting of the board, be considered a member of the board for the purpose of establishing a quorum for conducting business, or be allowed to see or discuss documents or information regarding individual district personnel, collective bargaining negotiations, individual student records, or any other confidential matters. The ex officio student member will serve for a term of 1 year, commencing on July 1st and ending on the succeeding June 30th. Attendance at board meetings is optional for the ex officio student member during July and August. Specifically, the ex officio student member of the board is expected to bring a student perspective to the board's discussions, bring student concerns to the board's attention, represent the student body on the board, report back to the student body on the board's actions, and solicit input from students on matters impacting the district at the direction of the board. Qualifications and selection of the ex officio student member of the board. All qualified students interested in serving as the ex officio student member of the board are encouraged to apply in the manner established by the administration. The district will advertise the position of ex officio student member of the board to high school students, as well as a method of applying for the position, well in advance of the deadline for doing so. To qualify, the student must have attended high school in the district for at least 1 year prior to selection and be a member of the district student government. All qualified students interested in serving as ex officio student member are encouraged to apply. Additionally, the student must be a junior or senior during the year in which they would serve on the board. The rotational high school principal will make the first selection. The selection process will take place at the end of the school year preceding the next term. Additional provisions. The ex officio student member represents the student body and acts as an example for the students of the district. Such students are expected to abide by all applicable board policies, including the code of conduct. Violations may result in removal from the position as determined by the board. The ex officio student member may resign in writing to the district clerk. The board may also declare the seat vacant if the ex officio student member fails to attend 3 consecutive board meetings without sufficient excuse. If there is a vacancy due to resignation or removal, the board will decide if there is enough time to select another student as ex officio student member in accordance with this policy, and if there is not, will leave the position vacant until the next term begins. The superintendent or designee is responsible for arranging for an orientation and training program for the ex officio student member. The superintendent will establish procedures for the ex officio student member with the Board of Education, if necessary, to implement this policy.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. Do we have a volunteer to read the nepotism policy?
How long is it? Let me see.
If no, that's okay. Trustee Scott, are you volunteering?
Yes.
It sounds like I'm being voluntold. I want to be like the superintendent.
He came for you a little bit.
Serves as the tie. I get it. All righty. We ready? Nepotism. 1. Purpose. The policy promotes transparency, impartiality, and public trust in the actions and decisions of the Mount Vernon School District Board of Trustees, the board. It ensures compliance in the New York State General Municipal Law, Article 18, Education Law, and Public Officers Law 74, and establishes ethical standards to prevent nepotism and conflicts of interest in all board-related matters. 2. Let me just set this up. 2. Scope. The policy applies to all current and future Mount Vernon School District Board of Trustee members in both their official and personal capacities as they relate to district business. 3. Definitions. Family member includes but not limited to a trustee spouse, domestic partner, child, parent, sibling, grandparent, grandchild, in-law, step relative, or any person residing in the same household as a trustee. Conflict of interest, as defined in General Municipal Law 800, parentheses 3. A conflict of interest arises when a trustee has a direct or indirect financial or personal interest in any decision or action before the board that may impair the trustee's objectivity or independence of judgment. Nepotism, the act of using one's position to benefit a family member in employment, contracting, or any official matter regardless of merit. 4. Prohibited conduct. A. Hiring and supervision of family members. In accordance with Education Law 3016 and relevant case law, no trustee shall recommend, advocate for, participate in deliberations, or vote on any family member's hiring, appointment, promotion, evaluation, demotion, or termination. Trustees shall not use their influence, directly or indirectly, to affect employment decisions involving family members or any employee. B. Voting on matters involving family or financial interests. Pursuant to General Municipal Law 801, trustees shall recuse themselves from any discussion or vote where they or a family member have a direct or indirect financial interest. A trustee with such interests must publicly disclose the nature and extent of the interest in the board minutes and refrain from participating. C. Accepting of gifts. Consistent with Public Officers Laws 74(3)(d) and F, trustees shall not solicit or accept gifts of gratitude exceeding $75 in value, whether in the form of money, services, foods, or favors, from any individual, entity, vendor, or contractor doing or seeking to do business with the district. This prohibition includes indirect gifts of favors to family members or others that may reasonably be interpreted as attempting to influence the trustee's actions. 5. Disclosure requirements. A. Annual disclosures, as required under General Municipal Law 812. Each trustee shall annually file a disclosure statement listing any actual or potential conflicts, including family members employed by the district or involved in district contracts. B. Ongoing disclosure. Trustees must promptly report in writing to the board president and superintendent any new or evolving circumstances that may present a conflict of interest or the appearance thereof. 6. Ethics and conduct standards. Trustees shall adhere to the standards of conduct set forth in Public Officers Law 74, which include acting in the public's best interest and avoiding any appearance of impropriety, that word, refraining from actions that may impair the independence of judgment or use of confidential information for personal gain or otherwise, maintaining transparency and fairness in all board dealings. 7. Enforcement and consequences. Violations of this policy may result in public censure by the board, letter of admonishment, or note to a file. The board shall vote to initiate an investigation into alleged violation. If the violation is substantiated, the board member in question will be presented with formal charges, followed by a removal hearing. Referral to the New York State Education Department or the Commissioner of Education under Educational Law 306. 8, policy administration. The board president, in consultation with district council, shall be responsible for overseeing compliance with this policy. Trustees are strongly encouraged to consult legal counsel when questions arise about potential conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So there are a couple of just open items that we have. We did say that we would open the meeting to public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that has that would like to address the board, we give you an opportunity to do that at this time. Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, hearing none, public comment is closed. I would like to know if there board members would like to have any final comments before we close out. I will start with my left, and I will give the opportunity to our ex officio student trustee. And after, if he has any comments, give him an opportunity if he needs to leave, because I know it's getting late. But if you have any comments that you would like to address, we'll hear them at this time.
Honestly, there isn't really that much to say. I already told you the precedent already in the meeting room, mostly generalizing over students' well-being in the district. If you want me to go over it again, okay.
Please.
Okay. So recently I had meetings with the principals and also students of the district, and there are some concerns as which we already might know. For example, one is devices issues. SATs is coming up soon, and we do need the devices to be able to take the SATs, and you know SATs are kind of important in the college process, and without these devices, no college-ish. Okay. Next one would be counselors switching places. Well, one counselor from STEAM Academy went to the high, and that means less students. Sorry, that means less counselors for more students. No. Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. That is kind of a bad thing for the students, in which most of the counselors are kind of packed with all the students, and they can't really do that much about it. And especially with college, especially with seniors, college applications, they normally need regular meetings. And going back to the meeting that I had with the principals of the high school, they are also packed with the counselors are packed with a lot of students, in which, if I got that clearly, they had more students for each counselors. And also going back to the phone ban, honestly, I've gotten so much reviews on it, and surprisingly, it's on the good side, especially from parents and teachers and even few students. I mean, there has been a decrease in cyberbullying and more class engagement, and honestly, my parents are loving it. So that's what I would do. Say that. Other than that, other than some teachers I mentioned last board meeting that some teachers have left, and that has caused some problems in students, in which we can't ask for a letter of recommendations and stuff. There isn't really that much stuff other than devices and other small minor problems, which I already discussed with the president.
Okay, thank you so very much. Trustee McDonough.
Just a procedural question. We had the first reading of those policies tonight. Are we going to waive the subsequent readings? Not that I didn't like listening to your tone and cadence or anything. That was lovely, but
that would be that would have to be a vote from the board, but
Royce
Mr. Russell.
Royce Russell.
Mr. Russell would like to address the board.
So one, to the fact that there is some discussion as to what was in red, right? If we have any inquiries as to that, I can lead that in the executive session whenever. If we decide that there's none, then the board can make a choice to waive second and third, and we can move from there. Just some format things, format that could be taken care of, but that's back office. Okay?
Okay, we can address that at the business meeting. Vice President Mitchell?
So I have a child at the STEAM building. We had the parent town hall meeting last week. I was glad to see fellow trustees and Miss White was there. I do want to. There was a point of concern that was raised from a parent, and it speaks to what our student trustee mentioned about the shifting and loss of teachers and counselors, and because. So in the STEAM school, and I'll share this, there's different pathways, right, at the STEAM school. I'm only going to talk about the STEAM school. Students are in a pathway, and there are several different ones. So for instance, if a student is on, for instance, I'll say the biomed pathway. In the biomed pathway says from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they're on that pathway, which leads them, is supposed to direct them into what they're going to follow up with for college and then ultimately career path, right? The parent voiced one parent actually voiced that they had a student who had two pathways, which was seemingly it perplexed the room, the leadership of the building and the folks that were there. But what was a little bit more alarming was to hear that because of the amount of teachers that left, certain students had no pathway this school year. And my son is one of them. I was going to say it, but what was more disturbing was the fact that I would just find out about that last week and then hear about it today for the first time ever, that my son has no pathway because of two teachers that left. And I'm like, how is it possible? And I'm thinking I can't be the only parent in that building right now. So I just wanted to bring that to the conversation place for Dr. Strickland as well. We should look for conversation with parents. We should even expect some public comment, but at least communication from parents about this. I would be concerned any other pathways that were affected, and ultimately how these counselor changes, loss of teachers are impacting our students that are in their graduation years and just walking into high school for the first time.
Trustee Peterson?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Trustee Brown? Trustee Scott? Okay. Hearing none. I want to just acknowledge this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We didn't wear pink, but we have pink in our hearts. So, a Hispanic.
Next meeting.
Next meeting. Pink, pink, pink. The board goes pink. Okay, Hispanic. We wanted to acknowledge Hispanic Heritage Month and all those other individuals that are celebrating this month. I just wanted to let the board know that I am the voting delegate for NISBA's advocacy conference, which will be held on October the 16th, which is a list of issues that every district brings to the state, and they bring them to NISBA. NISBA, they vote on them, and then they bring them to the legislators so they can advocate for us. That's part of what our dues we use our dues for. And NISBA is the New York State School Board Association. We are a member of that. There's also the NISBA convention that will be held in New York City, and I'll be attending that. I believe Trustee McDonough will also be attending. That's from October 23rd to October 26th. And Are there any other items or any other announcements before we move into executive session? Hearing none. District Clerk James?
Hi. So can I have a motion, please, to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation, the financial history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, and to receive legal advice on a pending matter. Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so very much for attending tonight, and we will not be returning back to this room, so everyone have a fabulous evening.